Hey there, hi
Were
there.
you able were you able to stream to your audience? I wanted to just double check that.
Let me see here. Are we streaming? Yep, we're streaming.
Okay.
We're streaming on my channel and your.
Um, awesome. Well, hello, friends of YouTube. Anybody dropping by the live session? I'll keep an eye on the comments and see who says what. Apologies for being a little tardy to the party, but you know what? I personally am on crip time, disabled people's time, and colored people's time. So it's going to be okay. It really is.
Right. Technical difficulties.
Today, right, that's very much so that. Today, instead of my regular Wednesday content, I am going live and cultivating community with fellow Black astrologer Corey Wu. You may know them from their channel here on YouTube, which is Astro KW, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And also, you may have seen their website, k-woo.com. That's right. But they are an astrologer that I have been in community with for about a year or so, I would say. We've just been following each other on social media, and I really
Mhm.
have a lot of esteem for her. And so, yeah, welcome to being the first guest on my channel, A. And just welcome to maybe building some sort of community with each other. We will see how it all unfolds. But yeah, welcome.
Thank you
Can
so
you
much.
Absolutely. Can you introduce yourself, maybe name, pronouns, and a little bit about your YouTube channel?
Hi, everybody. Thanks for coming. I'm Corey Wu. I, she, her, they, you, whatever. I answer to all things. I have been studying astrology since I was a preteen. Right now, I'm venturing into getting comfortable being on camera, so thanks again for the invite. And you can find me on Instagram. My handle is at the bottom of the screen, AstroKW, and on YouTube at CoreyWoo _, which I believe is in the description box below.
And oh, I forgot to introduce myself. Oh, also, hi, Miss Jamie. You better sing. I am the lady, Miss Vagina Jenkins, pronouns they, them, multidisciplinary artist and astrologer. And I too am still getting used to being on camera regularly, being perceived by the masses. But yeah, I am just so grateful for you being here. How do we open it up? How do we okay, so the first thing that we said we might talk about was our perspective, our respective journeys from becoming like a little bit interested in astrology to becoming an enthusiast to becoming a professional astrologer. So yeah, I want to talk about that journey, but then you had pushback. Tell me about your pushback about professional astrologer. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I guess I don't really consider myself a professional astrologer in the sense that, I don't earn a substantial income from the practice yet, but I am working in that direction. Um, what I guess I do consider myself a professional in the sense that um, over the course of my study, I've sort of organized it as such that I've developed the essential skills and knowledge to delineate and interpret a chart well. And I found that it's been helpful for me and it's been helpful for other people. Um, as far as how I became, you know, just basically interested and then an enthusiast, um, I used to read the horoscopes. My mom used to keep a bedside astrologer. Um, all the time. Every year, she would get the Cosmopolitan magazine and read to me the bedside astrologer and keep it until she was done with the whole thing. And I used to read that thing at like 8 or 9 and be like, ooh, I gotta go start reading my horoscopes and finding out about my zodiac sign. And I didn't really resonate with any of the descriptions at first that they described as Leo. Like, obviously I don't like to be on camera. So that's one thing. Being the center of attention makes me deeply uncomfortable. And so little things like that made me go into just wanting to know more. And the deeper I dug, the more accurate it became. And over time, it was just an obsession. Like for a time, I had named myself Astro Bitch. I don't know if you were even following me then. Well, my sister named me because I tend to attribute people's personality traits to their birth charts, like in my family, and they hate it. So
Mm.
that was my handle for the longest. But yeah, that's pretty much my journey. Now I'm obsessed with like shadow work and using your natal chart for that. So
Oh, I was going to ask you about like what your tact was with astrology. I guess let me share. I'll share my astrology journey though as well. Um,
yes.
a little bit about reading the horoscopes in the paper. I feel like not so much. But I think it's the confluence of like art and astrology. When I got into college, wait, oh, there we go. Michelle is giving you a compliment. Oh, you are an accurate astrologer. Apparently, you be making people cry. Don't make me making people cry. um, but yeah, like I feel like it was the confluence of art and astrology. When I was in college, my favorite gift to give people was a poster with their astrology chart on it. And so the process of making
Okay.
those charts, and this was okay, look, I'm an old person.
You
And
are not old.
this
Okay.
was before you could get charts online like that. And so I literally
Okay.
was consulting ephemerises in the library of my college to make these hand drawn charts.
Okay.
And I did not understand what I was drawing, if I'm honest with you, but it was my favorite
Okay.
gift to give people. And yeah, I think I made my first astrology chart for a friend in like 95. And then for the most part, my entry into astrology was sun sign astrology, social media. And it was in like maybe 2017, 18 that I was like, oh, okay. Actually, I want to revisit this in a real way, in a serious way.
Mhm.
And started doing, you know, chart readings for myself, my friends, that kind of thing. And it was with the pandemic that I was like, what would it be like to potentially earn an income from this thing that I find is my autistic special interest? Um, so some similar, but not. I feel like you've definitely been in the game way longer than I have, being an
It's
8-year old,
definitely
9-year
a
old.
special interest too.
Yeah. Oh, do you
um,
find yourself dreaming about astrology sometimes?
you know what? I don't remember my dreams. Um,
Oh,
the only time that I remember to dream is when they are recurring. But it's definitely a special interest. Like this is what I write at work. This is what I like when I'm sitting at my computer. I've like rushed through all my work at the beginning of the day so that I can sit and do what I want to, which is browse astrology websites and type up my readings and that sort of thing. Um, but yeah, I it helped me, I mean, it helped me obviously because we're both neurodivergent. So it was something like a coping mechanism. It helped me understand the people around me so that I wasn't always, you know what I mean, um,
very much.
overreacting or, reacting emotionally to, what I was seeing. That's just who you are. And I have to learn to accept that. And two, I want to help other people gain that same sort of self acceptance, and work with whatever energy they have. So that's the goal, and I'm gonna try to stop astro bitching, but no promises, y'all.
Can you tell me about I cut you off, but like the shadow work side, like you were like talking about like if you were to be a professional, if you are a professional astrologer and you see your role in helping people, what is like the area of focus that you think is like the main deal?
um, First, expanded self awareness. That's always the goal. I think no matter what modality in terms of spirituality that you go into, but primarily self actualization. Like, astrology is a great tool, you know what I mean, for planning out your life, planning out your growth, seeing things about yourself that you may not be able to see, you know what I mean, due to your own blind spots out in the world. And I think that's what I want to do, you know, what I want. I think that's valuable for people. A lot of times, I think most of us are walking blind a good portion of the time, you know, and
Very
so
much. Very
like,
much.
imagine, you know, you already know what it's like to be in your 30s or something and realize that you might be autistic. Like, so just that kind of thing. That's definitely in your natal chart, like, if you look at it. So, um, at least for the most part, depending on other mitigating factors, obviously. But yeah, just self exploration, self awareness, helping people get to the point where they can accept the things about them that maybe they're prone to reject and learn to work with those energies in a productive way.
Is that the
Sorry,
shadow
that was
work part?
long winded, y'all.
No, no,
Yes,
I love.
yes, very much so.
Yeah.
Very much so. It's about seeing the things that we'd rather not see, you know, and learning to work with that to evolve.
Yeah. For me, I feel like similar, very much still similar in terms of like helping people in terms of self awareness and self actualization. I think that
Hmm.
there's a lot about capitalism that distracts us from our lives and ourselves.
That's real.
And I think a lot of times people don't know themselves because of that distraction. And I don't, it makes me a little frustrated when folks don't know themselves, right? But at the same
Amen.
time, I don't fault anybody for it because it's built into the system that you be distracted from your own damn life to make billionaires a little bit more money. And so, yeah, definitely self actualization, self awareness. Also, you know, like, I mean, I think I call it, instead of shadow work, I think I'll call it like a healing modality. Um, and I think I use that language in particular because I want Black, Indigenous, poverty class, marginalized, queer, and trans folks. I want the marginalized folks to have access
Right.
to astrology because I think it's such an important modality. And so I think that's why I call it a healing modality. Not that I'm like
And
into,
it's flowers. I'm just saying, but another
yeah,
conversation for another day.
yeah. No, I feel it. I feel it. Oh,
Right.
man. So, like, what would be, okay, what would be the tipping point in your brain that would make you say confidently, I am a professional astrologer?
Um, I'm professional and I'm an astrologer, so that's how I talked myself into it as I was preparing for today's video. But seriously, I would like to move into, you know, less of a 40-hour work week, and more, at the very least, an ability to supplement my income and spend more time working with more people, because work, you know what I mean, like when you have a special interest and something like astrology that has so much detail, working a full-time job and doing it like doing it on the side, you really don't have the time to see as many people as you would like to talk to, you know what I mean. I could look at charts all day, but in terms of actually helping people, there's just not enough time. So that's my goal.
Yeah. How can people that are like watching this help support you to increase your capacity to do the work that you want to do?
Come talk to me and book a reading. Like, we can do natal charts, we can do shadow work, we can do numerology, tarot, we can do whatever. um, I'm definitely more of an astrology enthusiast than any of those modalities, but I'm proficient in all. And I think that they overlap enough that it's almost more helpful. So come talk to me, ask me questions, drop them in the comments, drop them on my website, um, and just support. If you're interested, get a reading from me. I try to be as affordable as possible given the amount of time I spend working on your chart. So yeah, get at me however you want to, but hit the site, y'all.
I feel it. Oh, and then the website again, k-woo.com.
Yep, yep.
I'm
I'll
gonna type it
post
in the
it.
chat. Let me see. Oh, you got it.
Yep.
Yeah. I feel like I as a former performance artist, I feel like I came out the gate talking about I'm a professional astrologer, and it was it was hard fought in the behind the scenes part. Like I definitely
Mhm.
had to have enough conversations with my friends that I'd given readings, and basically our consensus was the strictest definition of if you do a thing for money, you're a professional at it, right?
Okay.
But then the other part that I know astrology enough to know how much I don't know. And even and that I okay, so there's that one part. And even as much as I know how much I don't know, I know that can still help people with the perspective that I do have, and that's unique, and that is something that people want to hear from, and that people will value. And so I had to sort of step into that truth before I actually believed it myself, if that makes any sense. Um, so there's that kind of approach to it. But yeah, professional. That's such a funny word. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's more like a vocation than a profession. Like if you're not emotionally or spiritually connected to astrology as a practice, like being knowing the knowledge is not the same, even if you're earning money from it, I don't think like
Mm. What would be an example of that? Are you thinking about like astrology influencers?
that very much so. There's a lot
Mhm.
of misinformation out there because of that. Um, like people who are more concerned with getting attention because astrology is becoming popular again. But also, it's just like religious people. You have people who practice and follow all the rules, but they don't really believe that it's valuable or that it can work. There's atheist priests, for example. There are also astrologers who have the knowledge and know how to do the math, but they never utilize it in their own lives, which speaks to, what I mean, whether or not they truly believe it works.
Yeah. Oh, on that tip, do you think that astrology and spirituality are connected?
Very much so. I think it's very
Yeah.
much energy work. I think, you know, when you're looking at the planets, it's like when somebody walks into a room and you feel their energy. If we're rotating around the sun and we have all these large planetary bodies rotating with us, how would you not feel that, at a physical level, but in your life as well? And so I very much think it's about energy and spirituality.
Yeah. For me, it's spirituality in the sense of a lot of my personal spirituality is centered on connecting to my ancestors, fourth houser realness.
Okay.
And so when I think about astrology, I think about connecting to ancestral practices of looking at and engaging with the world. And like the same thing, that it's that as above, so below kind of feeling. And so, yeah, my spirituality is definitely threaded throughout my astrology practice. But I also be offended as hell when people are like, "Oh no, I'm a Christian. I can't mess with astrology. Oh, I'm a
Oh
Muslim. I
my
can't mess with
God.
astrology."
Don't get me started.
Like nobody is worshiping the planets, babe. We're just
Right. Right.
so I find that to be a frustrating experience. That's what I'll say about it.
That's the understatement of the year. Like, bruh. Nobody said anything about worshiping the planets. Like I'm trying to learn how to self worship right now. Like, God is one thing, like this right here is a whole nother thing. And I think that it gives me a connection with a higher power. Like
Mhm.
there's an order to astrology and there is an order to nature, and that order is connected. What I mean? That's what the study is all about.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel it. Yeah. Let me see my little list of what I wanted to talk to you about. Hold on. Mm, ooh, can we be nosy about each other's charts? Do you have your chart handy?
Oh yes. Oh yes, I do. Mm,
Will you pull up your chart so I can be nosy and look at it?
yes. One moment, please. I thought I had it already open, but I didn't pull it all the way. Okay, so I'm sharing from astro.com because that's the easiest.
Let me change the layout real quick.
I'm just going to make this full screen, and then I'm going to put it on there. Let me know when you can see it. Actually, can I'm sorry, y'all. I've been having technical difficulties since I logged on today, so please excuse me while I get my life in order.
It's no worries. I'm also noticing that I'm not able to change the screen layout for some reason. Shift 6.
Of course, it's going to take forever. There we go. I'm not crying, I swear.
Oh, can you
Okay,
tell
I'm
me if I
good.
changed? Oh, can you also tell me if I changed the screen layout? I meant to, but I don't know if it did or not.
Um,
Oh, yeah. Oh,
You
I
changed the
think.
screen layout for yourself, but not for me.
Ah, okay.
Can you see it?
I can see your chart, and then I see both of us on the it's really small on the left-hand side. What's it look like on your view?
I see the same. I see the same. So I'm gonna
Okay,
zoom
okay.
into this a little bit just so you guys can see it a little better. Um, yeah. So here's my good chart. Um, Good and busy. Little bucket there with Jupiter as the handle. For those of you who love astro patterns. My most significant pet placement, though, is that Saturn on the ascendant. It does everything. Um, it's conjunct the ascendant, trine the moon. So for those, here's the ascendant with Juno and Saturn in close conjunction. Ascendant 28 degrees Scorpio, so it's an out of sign conjunction. And then I don't know if you guys can even see my mouse. Can you guys see? Can you see my mouse, Miss
Um,
Lady?
yes, I just started seeing it.
Okay, so here's my ascendant, what I was just speaking about, and there's a trine. You can see actually multiple trine aspects here to another out of the Mercury. Um, I learned just a few years ago, actually, and after like a 15-year study, that I have a stationary direct Mercury. So that changed my
Mm.
interpretation of my chart so much. Um, but
What is the
but there's a lot. I think every placement is significant if you learn to work with, depending on what you're doing. Depending on what your
yeah.
goal is in terms of interpreting the chart. Um, but all that energy is available to us. Obviously, this is why I have so much um, water dominance. I'm Scorpio rising, trying the Mercury and trying the moon. And that's one of those things that got me deep into astrology is learning to understand those things about myself. Um, the older I get, the more Leo I see.
Mm, that's what I was going to ask you. What is that? The thing that jumps out at me is that Moon Mercury conjunction. And how's your experience of that felt in terms of, well, I'm thinking about like intuition and that sort of thing, but yeah, what does it feel like to you?
Very, I do consider myself to be very intuitive, but also I can be very emotionally reactive. Like, and the thing about it is, I'm doing the Audie thing where I'm picking up a pattern. At a mental level, I'm picking up a pattern, but my response to it is very emotional, especially with Mercury and Cancer. It's like, even when I know I'm right and I know that the person knows I'm right, I'm so emotional about it that nobody wants to hear what the hell I have to say. And then, of course, that increases my emotionalism. But also, I love writing. I love communicating. I love learning. And obviously, I'm very verbose. So,
I don't
so
think
there's
of you
that.
that
I'm
way.
long-winded.
It's so funny you keep saying that. I don't think of you as long-winded, and it makes me wonder about the experience of having so many thoughts and the way that they go through a funnel. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yes, yes, because I
I
say about
also noticed that fire grand trine, but it's like moon, Juno. I don't know what the third leg was. Was it the Jupiter placement?
um, yeah.
Do you do
There's
you
a fire
feel
trine
that?
with Saturn and the Moon, and
Wait, so the
I'm
moon,
trying to pull it
Saturn.
back up. Um,
It does kind of affect the video quality, but I don't.
Sharing my screen affects the video quality. You said.
Oh, wait, hold on. It did for a minute, but let's see what happens when I'm looking at it. Okay, here it is. I'm just more nosy than
Okay.
I am anything else. Okay, so we got that moon Mercury conjunction, and then you
Hmm.
said Saturn. Oh, I see it, Saturn. And Jupiter is the
These
last leg.
three. Yep. And then, yep, Jupiter's the last leg, and it's also the handle on this little bucket I have here that's upside down. So, uh, it's watery to say the least. That Jupiter is in a waning conjunction to my IC, so it's very much that's like my when you talk about ancestry and looking at that and communicating with my ancestors. I kid you not, I have all air and earth in my family, but the dynamic is so Piscean. Like,
Mm.
but
I
yeah,
see. I
it
think
very much.
because of the moon. Sorry, I misspoke. I think because of the moon being in Leo, I thought that it was a fire trine, but it's a water
Yep,
trine.
water trine.
I I see it now.
With a little
Uh,
fire sprinkles,
you're steamy. You're making steam. Oh, yeah.
crickets,
Our
crickets.
it's
Thank God for Mars retrograde.
I feel it. I feel it. Ah, I'll show you mine. Let me see if I can
Okay.
grasp it. Where are you at? Mhm. I would like to present. Uh,
Oh, I'm
I
remembering what
don't.
I first got excited about when I saw your chart.
Okay, it's none of those things, is it? Tab, window, cancel, present. Is it
I,
slots? No.
I chose a window. Um, I shared my
Oh, thank
screen,
you.
showed a window. And when you have that window open, you can move your mouse over it and you can, it shows up in the video.
Oh, okay. Let me do that. Thank you. Got it. Mm, do you see it?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So I'll have to go back and use my cursor. Can you see my cursor in there?
Yep, I can.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like we talked about the difference. I don't use the asteroids mainly except for Chiron, but mainly because
Right.
I feel like I haven't mastered the core planets yet. And I feel like at some point, I don't know what that sign will be. But at some point, I will feel like I have mastered the planets enough to start adding in asteroids, and I'll probably just start like really, really basic with like Juno, Ceres, you know. But yeah, so this is my chart, my little bucket. And I do really I think that my most significant placement is this Saturn Moon conjunction. And I
Conjunct
think that
my
it's taught
son,
me
no
a,
less.
what did you say?
That's it's funny that you have that because it's conjunct my son. It's funny that we both have that 11, 12
Oh,
degree.
that's right. Oh my God. Isn't that cute in terms of connection? Um,
Yeah,
and how we find connection with each other and we don't really know. And then all of a sudden you're seeing someone's chart and you're like, that's why. That's why. Or the
you still there?
opposite, like, oh, that's why. Oh, I am still here.
Okay, you kind of your mic faded out just a little bit while you were talking
Mm.
about. But
Oh,
yeah,
just
I was
both.
looking like, ooh, the trine. You got a fire trine, and I like it.
Mm, yeah, there's that part. I don't really feel that, but also it's a trine, so I don't know that I would feel it, so that's fine.
Right.
And also it's kind of loose in aspect, you know, this leg is struggling over here. But yeah, I feel like that Saturn Moon conjunction. I also really, this is an almost yod. I know that it's not technically supposed to be a yod because some of the opposition isn't there, but I
Hmm.
feel it. I feel it so much. I feel so much about who I am and who I want to be in the world is in contrary to how I interact with people and my struggles to interact with people. So much about who I am and who I want to be in the world is in contrast to my experience of figuring out my belief systems and emotional regulation. Um, and so I very much feel it. And I think whenever I get it in a reading from another professional astrologer, I always ask them their take on this yod. Um, and so, yeah, those are
Olive,
probably,
olive.
yeah.
I mean, it doesn't. It has that. Yeah, to me, that's the odd. I don't know. Like they can't not touch each other because they're so close in degree that how would you not be impacted by that?
Mm.
How do you experience that Pluto sextile to your Moon Saturn conjunction?
Oh.
I mean, you can't really isolate it, but like it seems
Yeah,
very. I'm trying to
it's
socialize,
very
but
okay. So it's very much the experience of like, yes, the relationships that I form with other people dramatically transform me, but must we go through so much emotional upheaval in order to achieve that transformation?
speaking
Like,
about
thank you
life,
for thank you for the lessons, but also, could we
keep
not?
it, keep it. I could have done without.
Yeah. Oh, what? I guess I'll share mine since we're looking at this chart. My question was going to be, oh, if there's one aspect or planet or whatever that makes you an amazing astrologer, what do you think it is? And I think it's, we've already talked about the Saturn Moon conjunction in the ninth house of like philosophy,
Hmm.
belief systems, being an astrologer. Um, but on the positive side, and I'm going to take the opportunity to shout out one of my favorite YouTube creators. On the other side, I meant um, that Mercury, that debilitated Mercury in Pisces in the fourth house. Um,
Yeah.
so much of my, like I said, my astrology practice is rooted in ancestry.
Mhm.
And so, yes, to that Mercury being in the fourth house and trying to understand ancestral patterns of spirituality. And yeah, my communication skills are not amazing for surviving capitalism, but they are very much amazing for connecting with my ancestors and connecting to spirit. And the idea to build a YouTube channel was based on watching a person called Astro. I'll put them in the comments. They are a Black masculine of center astrologer here on YouTube. And they have a series where they're just going through all the planetary placements and everything, and they talked about their own Mercury and Pisces and how it gave them a unique experience of intelligence and communication skills and that sort of thing. And I thought, well, shit, he's doing it. I could do it too, you know? So yeah,
Right,
shout out to
right.
Astro Finesse.
Now
How
I gotta
about
check
you?
him out.
You should if you haven't heard
Um,
of him. It's really good. He's really good.
it
But yeah, how
looks
about
very
you?
social for me. Um, Very social. I got a ninth house Mercury. I want to talk to people. I want to disseminate ideas across the world and have people, give me their take and I learn from it and, synthesize my experiences and all that. But also in trying to do that, like um, that out of sign conjunction, I kept running into that emotionalism, and having to work through that and just wanting to, I thought that if anything, I could use my chart to to show people how valuable astrology is. Like everything you think is wrong with me or right with me, or everything that you like about me, there's something to that. There's so many pieces
Mm,
working together, and that goes for all of us. And it serves to look at all those pieces. As far as being a good astrologer, I gotta say it's that Virgo midheaven and Venus in the 11th house, which rules astrology. Like when I decide to dig into something, like I need all the facts, I need the historical facts, I need the modern facts, like I need to take notes, I have to write it by hand first and then type it up and then make sense of it and apply it to everybody whose chart I have and see if it, you know what I mean? And like sort of build my own ideas based off that. And yes, I'm very meticulous when it comes to my astro. So, but it's still hard, to to express because I have it. My Venus is square Neptune in the third house, so trying to talk to people about astrology,
mm,
and they're like, "Bruh, don't nobody want to hear that today." Like, I'm going through it right now. This is not what I need to hear, and I'm like, I get that, but if you just listen, like
mm.
I know things. But I also find that strangers love my, you know what I mean? Like people that I don't know well want to hear everything I have to say because of the ninth house. So
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
cool with
that's
that.
how I discovered you, like those YouTube videos where you were just going through the transits. And yeah, the more you talked, the more I was like, oh shit, they know they shit. And I'm taking notes too. Definitely like captive listener kind of vibes. Yeah, very much that. Also, same Virgo midheaven, but I feel like mine doesn't express itself in terms of research. It expresses itself in terms of I- I'd be so impatient. How do I apply this? Like as soon as I get a concept, I'm like, how do I apply it? How do I make it better for everyone? Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yes,
Let's do it. Yeah. Yeah.
save the world
So
from themselves, if nothing else.
I mean, yeah, yeah. Let me see what else I wanted to talk about. Oh, I guess yeah. We're almost at time. Let's talk about like our favorite astrologers, astro resources. Yeah, let's start with resources. What apps, websites, books? What are you feeling? I will take notes in the comments if you like.
Okay. So I'm not a fan of any, I haven't come across any astrology app that I love. Astro.com, AstroSeek, the basics, there you can pull up almost any kind of chart that you really want in most of the astrology systems. And there's also a lot of information for professional astrologers there to explore. But my favorite thing to do is to go to used bookstores and look through their new age of esoteric and occult sections because they always have the old texts. The modern popular texts are always going to be out there in the new age section where everybody can see them. But when you go to a used bookstore, you have an opportunity to get, you know what I mean, things that are out of print.
Hmm.
Older um, astrology texts from different cultures that are outside Western astrology. And so obviously I love to read mercurial. So um, that's my favorite thing. Um, astrologers. Now, let me pull up my notes. I am going to post a link after this is over to a little document I came up with for everybody if you're interested in looking at other astro resources. But I do want to mention the Sagittarian Mind, Jason Fleming, who is an archetypal astrologer and a vocational astrologer. Um, and I've
Was
been
that the
following him since he was on WordPress. Say it one more time.
Did you say the solitary mind?
The Sagittarian Mind.
Oh, sorry.
And here, I'll go ahead and drop my miniature list right here, and you guys can catch the rest when I share the document. Hopefully. Okay. And these are Instagram handles for you guys. If they do have YouTube channels, I am not familiar. I think the only one I've seen on YouTube is Sam Reynolds and Cameron Allen. But that's the Sagittarian Mind, who's an archetypal astrologer. There's Umi Genevieve, who actually does talk a lot about ancestry as it applies to astrology and how you see ancestral patterns play out in your personal lives and in your natal charts. And then Christina Rombi, who's actually not, I don't think, actively practicing anymore, but she used to be under the handle The Eternal Light. And she's actually based out of Italy. And I love her. She actually did my very first natal chart interpretation and actually talked about my Saturn placement, which I was like, thank God somebody sees it. So shout out to all of them. And the Alchemist Astrologer was the honorable mention there. Because I love reading her lunar astrology.
I feel it. I feel like I have the same Astro resources that you do, astro.com. That is for me, that's the place to run visually, aesthetically simple charts that I'm going to share with clients that aren't too busy. You know what I mean? Astro Seek, when I'm doing transits or any sort of time-based anything, because I like how you can fast forward and rewind. That's really difficult to do on astro.com. Cafe Astrology for beginner level articles about astrology, like not all of the many astrology concepts. They have a really accessible voice in terms of like breaking information down. Astrology apps. The only app that shout out to the Chani app. I personally do not like to use it, but I do like that they are a queer run company. And they say that, I want to say it's 30% of their revenue goes to an organization that deals with and supports people that have experienced intimate partner violence. So for like subverting the norms of capitalism, I have to shout out the Chani app. And it's also, as an artist, it's visually and aesthetically pleasing as well. I gotta name that. The astrology, though, it is such a challenge to find an astrology app that shares astrology information. I don't understand it. I do not understand it.
Don't get me started.
It's these loose interpretations based on what? Like, oh, you're gonna have a great week at work. Based on what? Based on what? How can you say this?
Details.
But yeah, the astrology app that I use the most often is Time Passages, and it's because it's purely the view of the sky. What is the current chart right now? And it allows you to fast forward and rewind as well. And so yeah, Time Passages is the only astrology app that I have on my phone. Astrologers that I fuck with. I will name Alice Sparkly Cat. I'll type it in the
Okay. I don't want to spell it wrong. I'm not familiar.
They are just really into decolonial versions of astrology and like breaking down complicated astrology concepts in everyday layman's terms, but through the lens of decolonizing disrupting capitalism and white supremacy. And so I fuck with them, and they have like a blog that I read regularly. Um, oh, shout out Time Passages, right? I love it. The Astro Dim. They are here on YouTube, as well as Instagram and TikTok. They are a Black femme astrologer that I have admired for years now, in terms of, again, breaking down astro concepts to like a really simplified kind of way, and being really community minded. That's really important to me. I don't like people that are like, I'm a celebrity and I'm up here with my knowledge or my social currency. I don't care for that. So yeah, shout out to the Astrodem. And oh, on TikTok, um, on TikTok, there's a young Black femme astrologer called 0 Degrees Taurus.
Okay.
And I'll type that in. And
It's
they
good.
are a traditional astrologer. It's so interesting to see a very, very young person heavily into traditional astrology. And so I don't necessarily often agree with their takes, but I love how they know they shit. So yeah, definitely that. And as far as books and authors, I got nothing because I am not a very strong reader.
Okay. Okay. I mean, but you know your shit though, and that's what matters.
I'm I'm the J. Cole of astrology.
Oh wow, I'm so done. Oh, my earpiece fell out. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, you're
But
good. It was
yeah,
funny.
I have like a
Um.
few of the modern books, and
Okay.
they're okay, but they're not a useful reference at all. Yeah. So I just am often consuming, so that I can find out like what resonates, and then I
Hmm.
figure it out between,
I'm there.
usually in practice, by running charts to see how this particular thing plays out. So yeah.
That's what's up. So you're,
Um,
what do you call it? Empirical astrologer.
oh, that's a really nice way to put that. Thank you. Thank you for that language, because I've just been telling people I'm illiterate, but thank you.
No, no, no. Look, she gonna read your chart though. Don't get it twisted. um, let's
Yes.
see. Books. I don't really read them cover to cover. I look for the information that applies to whatever charts I'm looking for, and if it doesn't resonate, then I put that to the side and I interpret it based on what I know about the planet, the sign, and the person's experience. You know.
Yeah. I think heavy on trusting yourself and trusting where you need some help. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. That is a practice, is a thing. So yeah. Well, to close us out, I just want to reiterate again, Corey, where can we find and engage with your work? That's one question. And what is the best way that we can support your work?
Please visit my subscribe. I drop monthly general astro and tarot every month on the 5th. Um, a new and full moon astrology forecast for the collective on the 15th and 25th. So kwoo.com. And if you're interested in having me talk to you about your chart, you know, I'm not one of those people who's gonna try to get some money out of you every time you contact me. So ask your question in the comments and I'll try to answer it. I'm not trying to, you know what I mean, pimp you for your chart. I just want to help people. That's my ultimate goal and be compensated for my time when and if people are able. So yeah, get at me there. That's the best way to support me. Ask me questions, subscribe to the website, um, and learn your chart. Or at the very least, do some sort of self knowledge practice. Know yourself.
Yeah,
Know yourself.
very
That's all we
much. Very much
have.
on
So
that. Thank you for being my very first guest on my channel, and I absolutely appreciated talking to you. And I don't think you're long-winded. I think you are incredibly insightful. That part.
Thank you.
Um, so yeah, to close out, again, I am the Lady Miss Vagina Jenkins. My channel is YouTube at Vagina Jenkins. Please support the channel by liking, commenting whenever you see my content come up. Every Wednesday, I post something. If you have a little extra coin, please consider becoming a member of my channel. Memberships start at $3.99 a month. Or if you just like what you see and you want to tip, feel free to throw me a super thanks. That's everything that I have to say about life, about being an astrologer. And yeah, thank you so much for everybody that stopped through. Shout out to Stacy, Michelle. Who else was in the comments? I saw oh, I saw somebody else. Oh, Jamie. Yeah, just shout out to everybody that stopped by. I'm gonna call it. Thanks so much for coming by. Bye, y'all.
Thanks for having me. Thanks everybody for coming. See you guys later.